Hello again, dear listeners, friends and truth seekers. Max here again. Today we are diving into a new chapter called 13.3. What are we fighting against? The case of the missing children. Now, in this episode, I will hit you with some hard, brutal facts because we're talking about child trafficking. Many of the things you will see today will be difficult to digest. I understand that, and I do apologize in advance. But these are issues that needs to be addressed. We need to talk about this stuff because it will explain the war we're engaged in at present. So this is important information, and I ask you, please stick with me, even though it's hard to watch. Housekeeping, as usual. The Amazon page, where you can find the book with all the hyperlinks to all the documentaries and all the information. In particular, there's one interview in this chapter that I will not play for you because it's way too long, but very, very relevant. It cannot be played today because it's too long, but it can be found in the book. So please go there, help me out, buy yourself a copy. Our YouTube channel, we need more likes, please. The Rumble channel, same thing, like and subscribe. And our Brighteon channel, as usual. I need all the support I can get, guys, so please do like my videos and share this information. Now, in order to obtain some perspective of this covert war that is occurring, we must first understand who we are fighting against and what is the purpose of this war and its ultimate goal. If you reach this point of the book, I can safely assume that you probably think very much like me. You firmly believe that as a human, you have the right to freedom and sovereignty. You believe that you have the right to choose to take or not to take medical procedures. And nobody has the right to mandate such procedures and force you or coerce you to take them. Yes, I'm speaking of vaccine mandates here. You believe that children are sacred and are not to be touched, abused, or trafficked. You believe that governments have no right to impose anything on you whatsoever and needs to interfere in people's lives as less as possible. You believe that hard work should be rewarded and taxation is theft. You believe in real money and an asset-backed currency system. If you think in these terms, you are not crazy, and you recognize that the life you lead on this realm is based on systems that are completely opposed to this belief system and humanity itself. If you agree with this, you are the resistance. You are the digital warrior I mentioned in the previous chapter. You are probably sharing memes with friends and relatives online or social media, and you shake your head in disbelief, looking at what our governments are doing to us lately. If you resonate in any way with what I have described here, the plan is working. I understand that there are some 17 different operations in action today globally, all encompassing and with a target to ultimately change drastically the world we live in. Interesting, the number 17, which happens to be Q. Q is the 17th letter of the alphabet. Some of the operations I understand that are occurring are the following. I will list them for you here. Elimination of the central banking system globally, Rothschild controlled. Implementation of a new monetary system that is asset-backed with gold, silver, and other commodities, thus creating a fair global trade and exchange system between nation-states. Sounds an awful lot like BRICS to me. Elimination of government overreach, devolution of government. The goal is to shrink government sizes to some 10% or less of its current size. Quantum voting systems on a blockchain is all that is needed to give power back to the people and vote collectively for all the issues that concern us. We do not need representatives in government when the technology to rule over ourselves is already at our fingertips. The elimination of admiralty law, as I described before, and implementation of common law and constitutional law, or natural law. Elimination of all human trafficking, especially child sex trafficking. More of this in this chapter. Elimination of taxation to all individuals. Implement a flat tax of some 14% only on new items, and tariffs on foreign goods, allowing local productions to thrive. No tax on food, medicine, or any used goods. This has worked brilliantly in the past, and it will work again. Introduction of some technologies from some 6,000 patents that has been suppressed, including zero-point energy, medbed technology, and quantum computing. Anti-gravity devices, free and satellite-driven internet for the entire realm. Starlink, everyone? Disclosure of our true history and a complete revamp of schooling and education worldwide. Our children will learn to think, not to follow orders. Mass arrests and military tribunals, executions for the Khazarian mafia overlords that has pillaged the surface population and tortured humanity for so long. This is already happening, and I will show you. This is just fact. Some of these actions are already publicly visible, with Elon Musk's Starlink system, for example, that in my opinion seem to be much more than just a business venture and appears more military controlled than civil in nature. Elon himself is a brand that is being used by the military Q alliance as a sort of figurehead of certain operations. He is, in my opinion, financed by the military, and his purpose in this plan is not to build useless electric cars. His role is much vaster than that. I think his ultimate mission is to disclose and ultimately distribute free energy to the masses. Wouldn't that be sweet? Now, how do we know that what I am telling you here is actually occurring if the operation is covert and not seen by us? I ask you to consider this angle for a moment. The Khazarian mafia has always controlled, manipulated, and mind-controlled us slowly and very gently since hundreds of years. They plan long-term, as we already discussed, and are very patient in their execution, sometimes for generations. Their modus operandi is to infiltrate the institution, drip-feeding the public with what appears at the time to be small things, and then grow into common beliefs, guided by propaganda from the media, Hollywood and such. The education system changes slowly but surely to a point where kids are not even sure if they are a boy or a girl. Well, this has happened in my lifetime, and I'm not that old, so I can see it. We can all see it. Why are we suddenly noticing and waking up to this reality only now? Have you ever asked yourself that question? We can all agree that the last 8 years of our lives has been an absolute roller coaster of emotions, fear, and anguish. We are looking at the world around us as if it is unrecognizable and foreign. Too many things, too fast, and confusion reigns supreme. Nowhere is this more apparent than in government. Sloppy decision-making, laws and regulations passed that are so draconian and tyrannical in nature that any good attorney would have them all jailed were it not for the corrupt judges that people like George Soros in the US has corrupted to the point where the entire judicial system is collapsing under its own weight. This is occurring worldwide as we speak. This is happening because the Q Alliance has cut off the head of the snakes years ago. And the minions are running around like chickens without a head. There's no guidance, no overlords to tell them and instruct them what to do in order to maintain control. The elegance and subtleness of the Khazarian mafia is gone. We can see them now. We know their names and addresses. An example here, just for your reference, but there are many, many more, obviously. Now, this was only possible by a long-planned and executed operation that in many ways worked the same way that the Khazarian mafia infiltrated our lives, slowly and methodically, during decades. We are only now observing the culmination of this operation, and the confusion we see is an effect of that operation succeeding in a spectacular manner. The brainwashing we have been subjected to also works in reverse. The same tactics, false flags, etc., can be used for good as well as bad. The Alliance are using all the same tools against the Khazarian mafia, and there is nothing they can do but to fight against this movement. They do not have any other plans except total victory and absolute domination. There's no plan for this in their book. It was never even considered that an uprising would occur. These people only know how to work offense. They don't know defense because they've never lost. We can, if we're aware of this fact, smell the panic in the air, see their public action for what they actually are, absolute and total panic across the board. Look at what you see. So let's start with this incredible statement from a Rothschild some time ago. It tells us a lot. Does this sound like someone in absolute control to you? I will read from the screen. Heir to the Rothschild family, Nathaniel Rothschild today wrote to members of the British government giving his view that Vladimir Putin is the most dangerous man since the defeat of Hitler, with Xi Jinping a close second, and explained that Ukraine is an essential piece that we cannot afford to lose in the geopolitical chessboard. The heir to the Rothschild fortune argued that Russia must be excised from the international banking and economic system. We must bring Russia to its knees through any means possible to send a strong signal to the Chinese and protect our global system of norms and liberal values. Yeah, right. We must be under no illusions. If we allow Vladimir Putin to seize Ukraine, it will send a signal to our enemies, Iran, China, and North Korea, especially, that we will do nothing when faced with an onslaught of force. In effect, our current path and lack of military action means that our global order is dead on its feet. I urge you to deploy more force against Russia and its proxies, step up information warfare to correct opinion, especially online, and send weaponry to our friends in Ukraine. Without Ukraine, the global order may not survive. We are now in 2025. The war in Ukraine has been going on now for a couple of years, right? Well, the panic is real, and everything Nathaniel Rothschild describes here is exactly how the West and the European Union in particular has been acting. Censorship, send money to Ukraine that disappears in a washing machine, and censorship online in order to change people's opinion, information warfare, right? We have 12,000 people in jail just in the UK for posting shit on Facebook, right? This is draconian to say the least. Well, when I say that we know who they are, we have names and addresses, well, this is just a small selection here on the screen for you today, showing the deep state shadow government. The American Republic must drain this swamp. This is just a small selection of people that are being taken out, or has been taken out, or are about to be taken out. Starts with Madeleine Albright up on top, who is not with us any longer, by the way. Now, as painful as this awakening process was, it was necessary. Q said clearly, you cannot tell them, you have to show them. Only then will they see the painful truth. There are a multiple of truths that will be disclosed. Some will be very difficult to digest, but we must face them if humanity will ever have a chance to progress and learn from the mistakes made. The biggest realization will probably be the child trafficking that has been allowed and conducted in front of our eyes for all this time. And strangely, this will be what unites us all. Not left and right, not politics or not religion. The only thing the entire world cares about are their own children. Children are the only thing that all humanity can agree on is the most important and sacred issue in their hearts. Once this sinks in, there are no more politics. It doesn't matter anymore. There will be a global common goal that unites everybody once and for all. I will show you here on the screen the Q post in this regard. On 21st of October 2020, Q says, "Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity across party lines. Difficult truths. Q." Well, that's exactly what is occurring. Are you aware that in the United States alone, 800,000 children go missing every year? The worldwide figure I have heard is close to 8 million. Where do they go? Who took them? And for what purpose? Let me tell you a horrifying story, and maybe you will start to realize why this fight is so important. You will one day hear this in the media, but it's not just that time yet. The satanic Khazarian mafia has always been engaged in child trafficking, torture, rape, and murder of children. It's a sport for them. The European royal families are experts in this satanic practice and has been engaged in such activities for centuries. How do we know this? Well, we have whistleblowers. Let me give you a couple of examples of such practices here. This video of a naked child trying to escape from Buckingham Palace, from the chambers of now King Charles III. Or maybe he's a depraved brother Andrew, who knows, one of the most prolific pedophiles to walk and breathe on this realm of ours. This was filmed by some Swedish tourists years ago, and surprisingly, it's still online. I'll show it to you right now.
Gud, det ser ut som att de kommer från en helt annan tid, eller hur? Precis. Ja. Du kollar. Är han naken? Så. Riktigt. Det här är lite. Filmar du det här, eller? Du kollar. Är han naken?
Hard to watch, isn't it? That is Buckingham Palace, folks. The house of the Queen. That kid is probably dead. God bless him. May he rest in peace. Another person of interest is Roland Bernard, elite banker testimony, who eventually broke down when he asked to sacrifice children in a satanic cult. Satanic rituals, that is. He is one of the few that got out of the cult. Here is a video that explains that story. It's a bit long, but you need to listen. Every single word. Here we go.
Ronald Bernard is a former elite Dutch banker who rose quickly through the ranks in global high finance, and then turned whistleblower to the satanic ritual abuse atrocities that he discovered taking place behind the scenes in the highest corridors of power in the world. Rumours regarding the depraved paedophilic tastes of the elites have been circulating the world for centuries, but it takes a very brave and principled person to risk their life to speak out about what they've seen. The global elite are determined to suppress any information of this kind. Videos and blog posts are routinely scrubbed from the internet. Brave whistleblowers are regularly murdered in bizarre, sickening ways as a warning to others. That's why what Ronald Bernard has to say is so important. Before we dive in, subscribe to the People's Voice channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. The link is below this video. Ronald Bernard has gone on the record describing the moment he was invited to sit at the top of the table in the world of international banking. But there was just one condition. To prove himself, he was asked to sacrifice a child at a party. That's when he began to malfunction, to use his word, and he decided to become a whistleblower and expose the whole corrupt and satanic system at the heart of international high finance.
My turning point was that I was so good in everything I did with my team that I was, in their opinion, ready for the last stage. To be invited and sacrifice of children. That hits me. That was really going through my bunker. I couldn't handle it. It was hitting me like hell. I didn't go there. And I started to malfunction. And my whole career falls apart.
My breaking point in working in the old system was based on an invitation. I was ready, so to speak. And this is still a difficult part. But I explained it everything in my first interview. I care so much about you. My breaking point was the invitation to join sacrifice of children. And after telling this already 2 years, I thought, oh, now I can tell it straight away, but it's still difficult. Actually, it must hurt everybody in the heart, because it's not only about children, it's about our inner child as well. I really thought I can share it today without of emotions. I'm already also 2 years, no, nearly 3 years in therapy, trauma therapy for this. And I thought, oh, today in German, I will share it in normal way, so-called normal way. I can't help it. It's still touching.
Bernard also testified before the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, bravely delivering a mind-blowing presentation about the horrors he witnessed. After this quick break, we'll share Bernard's details about the 8,500 people who control the world, start wars, crash economies and operate a vast control matrix involving ritual child abuse and murder. But first, an important word from our sponsor. I know I should eat healthier, but I don't. Doctors say that we should eat 6 cups of fruit and vegetables a day, but let's be realistic. Who's got the time to eat 6 cups of fruit and veggies every single day? I certainly don't. But according to a massive study, people who eat healthy live longer, have less heart disease and diabetes, and have less cancer. So I've started taking Field of Greens, and I'll tell you why. Unlike other fruit and vegetable supplements, each specific fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens was medically selected to support specific functions, such as heart health, liver and kidney health, immune system and metabolism. And I take Field of Greens every day to stay healthy and feel good, and it really works. Field of Greens works really fast, and if you're like me, you'll feel healthier, have more energy, and your skin and hair will look healthier too. It can even help you lose weight. But the biggest benefit is the better health promise. Take Field of Greens, and at your next doctor visit, if they don't say something like, "Whatever you're doing, it's working, please keep it up," return it for a full refund. And to help you get started, I've got you 15% off your first order. Plus get another 10% off if you subscribe for recurring orders. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code TPV. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code TPV.
I see you all, in a way, like representing all the citizens of this world. You're just a few here if you compare it with the 7 billion, but you are all representing the human being on this earth. And after having my hell ride 1 hour with my sister here, it's quite heavy to start. I have to admit that. I didn't prepare anything, I just go with the flow. Thank you for the introduction. It is what it is. I was on both sides as a child and later as a perpetrator. This is not about humans. This is about a very evil dark force who really enjoy to destroy all life on this planet, and it's still on. And I was enjoying them as well. I really, and I don't say it with regret because I'm going back now in time, otherwise it's a fake, I really enjoyed it to have the opportunity to destroy all humans and all life on Earth. Nature was nothing. It was to be destroyed. We were hating everything what represent life, what represent the creator of heaven and earth. Don't take this very light. You can't imagine, I understand that, not all can understand this, but this is going on till today. In the end, because I can give you all the details about everything I did in this world, like indirectly I was killing people. Like you are in a stealth bomber, dropping bombs. I did this financial-wise as missions, like destroying temporarily the economy of ETHEREUM. And then later on, when you are in the financial market, you listen to the people who are involved, and they have a big laugh because some people were killing themselves because their companies were destroyed and they left behind women with children. And we have only a laugh about it. We joined it. That's the world I come out. My turning point was that I was so good in everything I did with my team that I was, in their opinion, ready for the last stage, to be invited in sacrifice of children. That hits me. That was really going through my bunker. I couldn't handle it. It was hitting me like hell. I didn't go there. And I start to malfunction. And my whole career falls apart. Then, because I go briefly to this one, because you also can see my interviews, they notice this. Then they start to take me out of the system for a while, start torturing me. And they want, because everything was in offshore, they want everything back. Because I own them, because I made everything through them. And they kept reminding me on the contract I signed. I didn't sign with blood. If I was signing with blood, that was the next stage, I was dead already. But this was a sort of gentleman agreement, and I still keep it, and I always keep it, about not mentioning names of persons, companies, and so on. And I'm a man of word. If I give my word, I will give my word forever. And if it's in the dark side or in the light side, it doesn't matter for me. So I came out, finally, and you can see it in the interviews. And then, on the end, my body was breaking down, heart attack, hospital, da-da-da-da-da. And then I have also out-of-body experience again, to see what they were doing with me. And then back in the body, the first thing I saw was my mother crying, like he is alive again. Then I ran through several private hospitals for a year to recover of all the damage. Even have to set my back straight again. Then I was for another 8 years completely off the screen, hiding in several countries on fake identities. And after the period of 9 years, because even we have the agreements, even I gave them all what they want, I was still afraid because they promised me to kill the whole bloodline. So my wife and my children in that time were also escaping, also hiding, but separate from me. So in 9 years being undercover completely, out of that experience, I noticed how it is to miss your children. It's horrible to have a child dead, but not knowing where your child is a bit more torture. So after 11 years, finally I met my oldest son in that time, and I was recovering, and I started to build up a relation with life. I started to study in theologic way, studying the Quran, the Torah, the so-called Bible, because that's more or less document. There are some satanic pieces involved. And I start to meet the creator of heaven and earth, and that saves my life because he was the first one who really, really loves me. And that gives me the enlightenment to continue life, because my first act of love was the real desire to kill myself. That was my first act of love, the first signal I was in a transition from death to alive. I want to kill myself in favor of the humans and life. So that was my first act of life, of love. So this involves more and more to be a social entrepreneur till the day as now it is. And the last point I want to give you is, if we want to have liberation, don't look at outside anymore. Don't look at outside anymore. The change will be from inside. We, the people on this planet, have to choose different, saying we don't want this anymore. It's enough. We can decide for ourselves to stand up, to be as one again, unity and diversity, and we can cooperate worldwide with each other. And tools for this are there, because one of the main tools you need to transform is the financial, monetary, banking system I was coming out. The tools are available, like healthcare, energy, everything is already available on this planet. The only thing we have to do is connect with each other, unite with each other worldwide, and say no more. Stand up, be the change yourself. And we will be liberating ourselves and our planet. And I can promise you, really promise you, because I have still a lot of contacts worldwide, the most still in the prison system, the dark forces around them, they are screaming because their child inside of this atomic bunker wants to go out in a safe world. And we can create this safe world for these heavily damaged children. So thank you.
Powerful stuff. Bernard's revelation that the elite or Illuminati approached him with an offer that was so appalling he had no option but to pass might sound eerily familiar to you. If so, you're not experiencing déjà vu. Celebrities who are brave enough to discuss the darkness at the heart of the entertainment, finance and political industries, and who refuse the overtures of the elite, often die tragically before their time. Brave souls who are risking their lives are always worth listening to. At the International Tribunal of Natural Justice, another witness and survivor, who was born into a generational satanic Illuminati family, gave his eyewitness testimony about how he was subjected to satanic child ritual abuse. He confirmed that the global elite are behind all the problems plaguing humanity. He went on to say that 12% of America is generationally satanic, That's 40 million people. You can watch his testimony in the People's Voice Locals community by joining below this video. From early childhood, we are programmed by a satanic world through mass media and the entertainment industry. We live in a society where 800,000 children are disappearing every single year, and yet the media doesn't dare to discuss this at all. This is insanity. Why are we allowing this to happen? Because the masses have been programmed from birth to go along with the mainstream narrative. All Illuminati families, including the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Bushes, go through 6 to 7 years of satanic torture, rape, drugging, and ritual blood sacrifices as children in order to turn them into secondary psychopaths. This is what the old religion, the Moloch system, is all about. It's about creating secondary psychopaths who've had the flickering flame of humanity inside them snuffed out like a candle. This dark force has been in control of our society for hundreds of thousands of years, going back all the way to ancient times. But more and more people are waking up to the truth, and this makes it easier for others to wake up to this horrific truth. We need to work together to remove this darkness from our world. We can change this because they are few and we are many. Here at the People's Voice, we are determined to continue waking people up, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and help us spread the real news far and wide. And join the People's Voice Locals community to help support the channel and gain access to exclusive and uncensored videos, including more from the International Tribunal of Natural Justice. The link is in the description box below this video. I hope to see you there.
There we go. This channel here, The People's Voice, is very inspiring. I suggest you all to go and take a look at it. Another person of interest in this regard is a lady called Jessie Sebotar. I have seen many of her interviews. It is absolutely horrifying. She is testifying to satanic ritual abuses as she came from a bloodline that was deeply engaged in such practices. I will now show you one of them that you can watch. It explains a lot regarding the current ongoings and how the plan is unfolding. In the book, there is a second interview from Jessie that is way longer, and I can't play that to you here because this chapter would be hours long. So you can find that link in the book and you can download that video for yourself. So let me play you this shorter version here where she explains a little bit around satanic rituals and especially what the royal families are engaged in. So here we go.
I would like us to possibly touch on our ancestors here, who are the Dutch royals. I know we've spoken quite a bit of British royals. You've had links there. I'd be interested to know what you know about the Dutch royals, because from what I've been researching, they're very dodgy. Princess Beatrix, for example, her father, Monet, sorry, just what was her father's name? Do you have that there? I can't remember. It's not,
Yes,
it's not.
It's Prince Bernhard.
Prince Bernhard, that's right. He's in fact, on a number of documents and things I've read, he's together with Pope Ratzinger, right?
Right.
The two of them are well known, according to eyewitnesses, for doing child sacrifices. They have a lot of the hunting parties, hunting kids, or these kids hunting parties we were talking about in one of our previous conversations. They have a lot of that there, and apparently they're quite involved with that. So what do you know about that?
Yeah, I think, what it does is it really shows us, we've been talking about the connection with the Jesuit and the Catholic Church with the bloodline families. So here you see a merging of them working together. We have discussed how the Luciferian evil is operating through the Catholic Church all the way at the top. And Ratzinger is one of the individuals that, you know, that they have, you know, evidence that he has been very implicated in this evil, and, you know, operating through the church, doing things. And so, you know, it doesn't surprise me that he'd be connected with, you know, the Dutch and the English royals. And a lot of those, they, you know, the Dutch line through Beatrix and stuff, you know, that stems even through the French monarchy. And through that, you've got individuals that go all the way back to, you know, Vlad the Impaler, who, you know, was known really as one of the first claimed vampires that kind of became famous. But he was known for his bloodlust. And you know, these families, you've got like Queen Elizabeth and their line, and things have gone out that they're part of the Ninth Circle, which, you know, that part of the Illuminati is into the deepest, darkest black magic there is. And, you know, highly connected with, you know, Moloch. We've talked about Moloch being one of the most bloodthirsty demons that there is. So this is who these individuals are in connection with spiritually wise, you know, is that they're all under that rule of Moloch and Samael and Baal, who, you know, are the three. I mean, it's hard to give demons a wicked scale, but, you know, those three are kind of the worst of the worst for demanding, you know, blood and graphic, you know, it's not, they don't just want blood, they want graphic, horrific, you know, things that cause a lot of fear. And that's what those demons are into. So, you know, even, you know, going to the English royals, you know, there's so many implications with them with child trafficking. There's the implications of the missing children, you know, and they were found guilty for that, and yet we saw no consequences. You know, and people ask what happened to those children. The few individuals who are talking about what happened to those children, it was a horrific scene of cannibalism from what we can gather. You know, so these are direct relatives to that, you know, to Beatrice, to the Dutch bloodline, you know, the individuals who are implicated in those hunting parties, the same thing. You've got, you know, not just that they're hunting children, but that, you know, during those hunts, they rape, they brutally torture, you know, then they murder and sacrifice. And the part that people seem to forget is that, you know, the number one thing about hunters is they enjoy trophies. So, you know, these individuals, they're implicated in that too. They're implicated in keeping trophies, whether it's the spiritual soul trophies, you know, that turn up as diamonds, or, you know, whether it's a pair of so-called leather shoes that really are not cow leather, whatever that trophy is. And I know, you know, I mean, I've heard that there's much worse trophies that they do keep. You know, we got to remember that they're flaunting their evil. That's the extent of it.
Absolutely. I've seen some pictures of those trophies. What I've seen is private parts of the boys that are mounted up there as well. And as you say, the diamonds, gosh. So these are pretty much our ancestors. And very much at the moment looking into our ancestral lineage here in terms of the royals. I'm just amazed why they're hunting, you know, because what stems to mind, what comes to mind as well, when you look at when Africa was colonized, and this is exactly what they were doing then.
Mhm.
The Germans and the Dutch particular, and the British, oh boy, the British in there big time. They are in anything, I'm sorry Brits, but if we're looking back at history, anything that has to do with any colonization, anything that can be grabbed, the Brits were there, you know, and they were hunting our bushmen the same way that they're hunting children. I mean, then our history records show how these people were hunting our bushmen, as well as when the Germans were colonizing Namibia, they were hunting the Hereros. I think I might have mentioned in one of our previous talks where there was, in fact, concentration camps that the Germans had at the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 1900s, long before Hitler was even around. They were doing to the Herero and the Nama people in Namibia what Hitler was doing to the Jewish people when he was up to his stuff. So they've been doing this forever. Hunting, slaughtering, killing. I'm just wondering when does it stop?
So that's a short little video. She doesn't mention much, but obviously she talks about the Vatican, Ratzinger, who is the only pope for a few thousand years that has actually resigned from his post, right? And he's also no longer with us. So that's interesting. In the longer interview that I cannot play to you here, but is available in the book, she mentions affidavits. She names names of high people. And that is really, really interesting because not only the fact that she does mention those names, but one very important thing to note before discrediting or objecting to anything that's being said here, I ask you to consider the following. And this is valid for all revelations that we see. If these people, like Jesse, were lying and defaming these high connected Satanists, she would be sued into oblivion, especially in America where lawsuits are a national sport, right? So why is this not happening? How is she still walking around? This is not happening because if a lawsuit is made, once in court, there's a process called discovery. All you lawyers out there know what I'm talking about. In which both parties need to show evidence to prove their case either way. The reason that such suits are not happening is because the guilty parties would be completely exposed during such a process. And this is why they usually prefer to eliminate the threat by other means, such as murder. Another notable detail is that she has signed sworn affidavits. If anything she swore proves to be false, she's immediately jailed. The fact that she is still walking around and singing like a bird tells us a lot, doesn't it? Unfortunately, the population will have to go through a dark night of the soul by having to process this new reality, and not everybody will make it through. The revelation and disclosures that are about to unfold are absolutely mind-shattering. These revelations will shatter the trust in authority, religion, celebrities, and all institutions worldwide. Yes, this is a worldwide phenomenon and needs to be dealt with as such. It's not just an American or European issue. Epstein and Diddy are only the beginning of this disclosure. What comes after will be even more shocking to the world. I will show you here what Q has to say about it. I read from the screen, February 12, 2018. Coincidence? The Matrix movie grew people as crop, used for energy and controlled their mind? Question mark. Sound familiar? Question mark. Wonder where they derived that idea from. Now comes the conspiracy label. Deeper we go, the more unrealistic it all becomes. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Q. Guess what he's talking about? Now, to make things even worse, there exists a substance called adrenochrome, derived from adrenalized blood from children. The process, unfortunately, I have to tell you, is as follows. Scare and traumatize the child to the point of absolute panic. Then stick a syringe into the child's pineal gland and extract the adrenochrome from there. This substance is extremely powerful if ingested by a human. It's the drugs of all drugs. It also keeps you young and energetic. It's Hollywood's favorite substance and is very, very prevalent in elite circles. People joke around saying they drink baby blood to stay young. Well, it's not a joke. They really do it in mass. And it's an underground industry worth billions of dollars. When this whole operation is disclosed to the public, it will be devastating for many. Now, another recognizable sign of who is in this satanic elite club of blood-drinking demon creatures is the notorious Black Eye Club that I will show to you here. The Black Eye Club. Who is punching them? We keep on seeing this over social medias in the last few years. All these celebrities and elites showing up with a black eye. Now, these depraved individuals, and this is just a small presentation obviously, are publicly humiliated in some sort of ritual where they must show themselves publicly with a black eye. Don't ask me why. I do not hang around in such circles. But I find it fascinating each time I see a celebrity with one of these black eyes. My conspiracy antennas come up immediately. It could be related to the panda eyes that has been disclosed lately, which is a horrible, horrible process. Here the tortured kids are being punched in the eyes, as the image I'm about to show you now. Beware, this hurts. Now, as you can see, on the left you have a child with so-called panda eyes. On the right, you have a simple description of what adrenochrome actually is. It says, do you know what the most expensive and potent drug in the world is called? Adrenochrome is a drug that can only be found in the human skull, pineal gland, of an infant whose blood has been adrenalized with fear, then killed, which now makes up a multi-billion-dollar black market industry and the reason why 800,000 children go missing in the USA annually. This is a true story, folks, as sad as it is. 800,000 children disappear. And many of them, I don't think everybody, but many of them enter into these projects. Now, we can look at panda eyes here. On the left side of your screen, you have a Hollywood celebrity, namely Lady Gaga. On the right side, we have the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Intelligence Bulletin. This speaks of pedophilia. These are all the keywords that these elite pedophiles use in their communications. Hot dog means boy, pizza means girl, cheese, little girl, pasta, little boy, ice cream, male prostitute, walnut, person of color. A map is semen. I show you this because when the WikiLeaks emails came out from Julian Assange, and we all know who that is, one email in particular stood out where Barack Obama ordered some $65,000 or $68,000 worth of hot dogs to be delivered at the White House during his presidency. And Hillary Clinton in that email actually told Barack that you should not use these channels to communicate such things. This should be done in private. That email exists, and it's in the WikiLeaks files. So Barack Obama was ordering little boys. Cute, isn't it? Now, all of your Hollywood and music industry heroes are engaged in such behavior, in case you are not aware. All a bunch of satanic, depraved monsters. They need to stop breathing as soon as possible, in my humble opinion. Now I will show you what these monsters look like, with and without their favorite party substance. COVID in itself was a blessing to us all, as suddenly their supply was abruptly cut off. And guess what happened? We started seeing absurd videos of all these celebrities freaking out on camera. Most notably, Ellen DeGeneres, or as I call him, Ellen Degenerate, and Madonna. Do you remember that? That was fun. It was entertaining to watch. Here it says, this is what TDS looked like. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome. Here you have all your celebrities before and after. Look particularly at Celine Dion on the bottom left. Is that the same person even? She looks like a walking corpse, doesn't she? Absolutely staggering. Let's have a look at Ellen DeGenerate, how she looked before and after. What could the difference be? Maybe adrenochrome? Another funny group of satanic pedophiles that needs to be strung up as quickly as possible is the Red Shoe Club, as you see here. You notice the Pope, that's Ratzinger, always wearing his red Prada shoes. That's Luciferian, folks. We have here the ninth circle that Jesse was mentioning before, and the Queen. And then if you look on your right-hand side here you have all these red shoe gentlemen. And look, there's Madeleine McCann's father wearing red shoes with Tony Poderasta, they call him, because that's what he is. Interesting factoid. Now, we can all remember the scandal when Madeleine McCann disappeared some years ago. I think it was in Portugal, if I'm correct. What's her father doing with the Podesta brothers and the Red Shoe Gang in this picture? One has to ask. Now, please do your own research of all these issues in case you want to know more, because it's too much for me to describe in this chapter. Here is some guiding points for you. Look into WikiLeaks Podesta emails that I just mentioned. Obama's $65,000 hot dogs at the White House that I just mentioned. Comet Ping Pong in Washington, D.C., Pizzagate. The Canadian missing indigenous children and Queen Elizabeth, very interesting. Oprah and her connection with John of God, who was arrested in Brazil by Bolsonaro. Big Mike, Michelle Obama. Epstein Island, we all know what that is. Puff Diddy and his parties. Alejandro Mayorkas, DHS secretary under Biden, and his human trafficking operation from Mexico. These are just a few tidbits of information that I strongly suggest you to look into. It's all related. I get infuriated just by looking at these pictures. There's so much more to say on this topic, but it would be too lengthy in this chapter to dive that deep. It is obvious for any rational and sane person that this kind of behavior can absolutely not be tolerated anymore. And this is now slowly boiling to the surface. Many people are becoming aware of it through independent media, and the flow of information cannot be stopped. So, victory is near. Another clear sign that something is shifting is the evidence of censorship online and in the media. Never in history has there been so much discussion regarding misinformation and disinformation, etc. This has not only to do with the pandemic, in which case censorship was a major issue. Of course, the elites don't want the truth to come out, so they label anything that does not suit their own brainwashing narrative as misinformation or disinformation. It's absurd and hilarious to watch them squirm on live TV, actually thinking that we would somehow believe what they say by now. I firmly think that it's a good part of the plan is to show us these tactics out in the open in order to wake us up to these tactics that has been so prevalent and working well for them for so long. So when you see posts such as what I'm showing you here now, I can see what they are doing. This is frankly too stupid to be stupid. Nobody in their right mind would ever agree to this. And it's actually the Khazarian mafia controllers managing such action. Actually, it's great news. It would just go to show without a doubt that they are losing, and there are no masters above left telling them what to do. This is a Facebook post of a group that has been disabled. End child trafficking worldwide now. And it says this is because end child trafficking worldwide now goes against our community standards on hate speech. What does that tell you? What does this actually tell us? It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Now, another good sign to look at is the absolute state of disrepair of our so-called elected leaders and where they find themselves today. It almost looks like there is a plan in place to get rid of them all at the same time, one by one, but slowly and methodically, in order to give the people time to absorb and rationalize why such things happened. I will show you a little picture here of a G7 meeting in Italy, 2024. These are the people ruling our world. You have Biden there, too senile to stand trial, true. Unelected Democrat, that's Ursula von der Leyen, crazy. About to lose election, British Prime Minister, kicked out. You have Macron, just lost election, then he cheated himself in again. You have Trudeau, who finally has given up. You have, that is Schulz, the German, just lost his election. So you see, all these people are being exposed for exactly what they are, unelected, and they are engaged in all these practices. The only one who can be saved is the lady in the center, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, who is beloved by the community that is listening to this kind of stuff. I hope she survives. All these leaders are indeed walking in shame now. Most of them cannot even show themselves in public without harassment, and rightfully so. They're getting so desperate that they do not even hide their agendas anymore and are openly saying what's really on their minds. They lie and lie and lie, and they know very well that we know that they are. It's actually pretty glorious to behold. I'll show you an example of this right here. Here on the left, we have a statement from Alexander Solzhenitsyn that we have mentioned before. He says, "We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know we know they are lying. We know they know we know they are lying. But they're all still lying." Hilarious, isn't it? On the right side here, judge in court, do you realize that exposing the illegal things our government has been doing is illegal? Yes, indeed. Could that be a Masonic judge sitting up there? I would guess so. We have memes like this showing up. Here we have an article from The Hill on the left. Senate passes 40 billion Ukraine aid package. At the same time, Senate blocks 48 billion aid package for restaurants and other small businesses. Look at the dates here. Same day. Same bloody day. So, I mean, can it be any more clear? Right? So, can you feel the shift in the narrative? Can you see the plan working out? Not yet? Okay. Follow me to the next part and the next chapter where we talk more about how the movie you are living in at the moment is playing out. The best is yet to come. To finish this horrendous chapter, I will show you the iconic clip from Ricky Gervais, superhero of mine, when he roasts the Golden Globes in 2020. This would never have been allowed before. And please, look if you can find any of the actors from that moment onward. I have not seen them publicly, except on pictures and CGI. Have you seen them anywhere? Because I can't seem to find any of them walking around anymore. Why would that be? I ask myself. So let's have a laugh at their expense when Ricky Gervais rips them apart in this clip here. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the 77th Annual Golden Globe Awards, live from the Beverly Hilton Hotel here in Los Angeles. I'm Ricky Gervais, thank you. Hello and welcome to the 77th Annual Golden Globe Awards, live from the Beverly Hilton Hotel here in Los Angeles. I'm Ricky Gervais, thank you. You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm joking, I never did. NBC clearly don't care either, 5th time. So, I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood Foreign Press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So I got offered this gig by fax. So let's go out with a bang. Let's have a laugh at your expense, shall we? Remember, they're just jokes. We're all going to die soon, and there's no sequel. So, yeah, remember that. But you all look lovely, all dolled up. You came here in your limos. I came here in a limo tonight, and the licence plate was made by Felicity Huffman. So, no, shush. It's her daughter I feel sorry for, OK? That must be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to her. And her dad was in Wild Hogs. So, lots of big celebrities here tonight. I mean, legends, icons, yeah? Look, at this table alone, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. But Baby Yoda. Oh, that's Joe Pesci, sorry. I love you, man, don't have me whacked. But tonight isn't just about the people in front of camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood Foreign Press are all very, very racist. So, 5th time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. It just, no. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year. Let's see what happens. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done, Netflix, you win everything. Good night. But no, we got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer. And it's still more fun than this, OK? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right. But seriously, most films are awful, lazy, remakes, sequels. I've heard a rumour that there might be a sequel to Sophie's Choice. I mean, that'd just be Meryl Streep going, well, it's got to be this one then. All the best actors have jumped to Netflix and HBO, you know. And the actors who just do Hollywood movies now do fantasy adventure nonsense. They wear masks and capes and really tight costumes. Their job isn't acting anymore. It's going to the gym twice a day and taking steroids, really. Have we got Have we got an award for most ripped junkie? No. No point. We know he'd win that. Martin Scorsese, the greatest living director, made the news for his controversial comments about the Marvel franchise. He said they're not real cinema and they remind him of theme parks. I agree. Although I don't know what he's doing hanging around theme parks. He's not big enough to go on the rides, is he? It's tiny. Right. The Irishman was amazing. It was amazing. It was. It was great. Long, but amazing. It wasn't the only epic movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... Even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know. You're nearly 50, son. The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that. And the reviews, oh, shocking. I saw one that said, this is the worst thing to happen to cats since dogs, right? But Dame Judi Dench defended the film, saying it was the role she was born to play, because she... I can't do this next joke. Because she loves nothing better than plonking herself down on the carpet, lifting her leg and licking her... Furball. She's old school. It's the last time, who cares? Oh. Apple roared into the TV game with a morning show. A superb drama, yeah. A superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and... So... It's already 3 hours long. Right, let's do the first award. The first award. The first award is for Best Actor in a Television Series, Musical or Comedy. To present the award are a couple of actors off the telly, what can I say? Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon.
So there we go, at least we can end this chapter with a laugh. Ricky Gervais is an absolute hero. Majestic. But the reason I'm showing you this is that I want you to understand how things are actually changing and evolving, because stuff like this would never have been allowed. And, you know, I think that's a good way to end such a dark chapter as this one. So I bid you all goodbye. This is all for me today. I'll see you in the next chapter, chapter 13.4, called Sealed Indictments and Arrests. So it's starting to become more and more clear who is winning this World War IV as we move ahead. That's all for me. Max out. Peace to you all.